give Trayson just a minute to get here. Is he on his way? Okay. So I think we have a change of plan, Plan B. So we're going to ask Braden Jones from Bartow Academy to come forward and lead us in our pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated.
Hold on. We're going to do it again.
Oh, did he show up? Okay. We did.
Come on. Bring him up. It's okay. Yay. Good job.
Trayson,
Come on. Come on, baby.
have we got a stool
Do
for
you have
him?
a stool or something you can stand on? Okay, come on.
Well, you can pull the mic down.
Or can somebody pick it?
There
There
we
we go. There we go.
All right.
There we go.
So we're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance, and Trayson is going to lead us.
All right. Ready?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Bartow Academy is a family partnership inspiring today's learners to become tomorrow's leaders.
This November 12th, 2019 school board meeting is called to order. Now, wait a minute. We have some questions for Trayson and for Braden, too.
Yeah.
They both let us. Braden, we have some questions for you as well. So we'll start with Braden. Braden, what's your favorite subject in school?
My favorite subject is math and reading.
Math and reading. Very good. Very cool. And what do you want to do when you grow up?
I want to be an artist.
An artist. Very cool. Well, thank you so much for filling in today. We appreciate that. That was very brave of you, and we wish you all the well during the coming school year. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Trayson, what's your favorite thing in school? What's your favorite subject?
To learn.
To learn. Anything. That's cool.
That's good. That works.
That works. And what do you want to do when you grow up? Do you know?
Be a part of the army.
You want to be in the Army? Very good. Well, that's very cool. Trayson, thank you so much. You did a wonderful, wonderful job of leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. So this evening, as we do, we have our annual reorganization meeting. Before we do that, we'll approve the agenda, and then I will pass the gavel to the superintendent for the reorganization meeting. Madam Superintendent, do we have any revisions to the agenda?
Yes, we do. Item C3, nomination for vice chair, revised item. Item C14, approved minutes of the October 22nd, 2019 work session, revised item. Item C16, board member travel, item added. Item R52, attorney's report, request to advertise public hearing, add item, revised item. That concludes the revisions for this evening.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to accept the agenda as revised.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval for revising the agenda for November 12th, 2019 with the revisions read.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? The motion on the floor is approval of the revised agenda. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So at this time, Madam Superintendent, I pass the gavel to you for purposes of a reorganization.
Thank you. Good evening. It is a pleasure to welcome you to the November 12th, 2019 meeting of the School Board of Polk County, Florida. The board chair has called the meeting to order pursuant to the Florida Statute 1001.371. I, as superintendent, will act as the chair until the organization of the board has been completed. At this time, we request all cell phones and any other devices be turned off or put on silent mode. Our next order of business is to elect a board chair. I will use the following procedure. In a moment, I will open the floor for nominations. After board members have had ample time to make all nominations they wish, I will ask for a motion to close nominations. Afterward, I will conduct a roll call vote by district, beginning with the first candidate nominated. If there is a majority for the first nominee, the election of the board chair will be complete, and we'll move to the election of the vice chair. If there is not a majority in favor of the first nominee, there will be a roll call vote for the second nominee. The process will continue until a board chair is elected by majority vote. I will use the same method for the election of the vice chair. Are there any questions? I will now accept nominations for chairman. Nominations do not require a second. The floor is open for nominations at this time. Ms. Fields.
I'd like to nominate Sarah Beth Reynolds.
Ms. Miller.
I'd like to nominate Lori Cunningham.
Any other nominations?
I would like to nominate Lynn Wilson.
Please note that's Ms. Fortney nomination of Lynn Wilson. Any other nominations at this time?
I move that the nominations be closed.
Is there a second?
Second.
We take a vote that all the nominations are now closed at this time. I will now conduct a roll call vote in the order of the nominations. The first nominee, Sarah Beth Reynolds. Please note I do not have lights, so I will need a show of hands. District 1. If you are in favor of Sarah Beth Reynolds, just raise your hand, please. District 1. District 2. District 3. District 4. District 5. District 6. District 7. The next nominee I will call will be Lori Cunningham. Please have a show of hands for Lori Cunningham. District 1. District 2. District 3. District 4. District 5. District 6. And District 7. There's a majority for Lori Cunningham at this time, and I would like to move for the next election for Lori Cunningham to become the board chair for the 2019-2020 school board. Are there any other questions pertaining to board chair?
I don't have a question, but I have a procedure. We had 3 candidates for the same seat. How many votes was each board member supposed to have?
Mr. Bridges.
The way the superintendent was conducting this particular election for chair and for vice chair, you would vote in the order that they were nominated, and there would be a vote on the first candidate. If a majority was received, then the first candidate would be chair. If there was not a majority, then we would move to a vote for the second nominee. If there was a majority for the second nominee, then the election is over. If there's not a
So
majority,
you're starting all over each time?
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
After the first nomination failed, we moved to a second nomination, and each board member would vote for the second nominee.
Thank you for the clarity.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. At this time, I would now do a roll call for the nominations for vice chair at this time. The floor is now open for a nomination for vice chair. Mr. Townsend?
Sarah Fortney.
I saw Ms. Fields.
Sarah Beth Reynolds.
Lynn Wilson.
Are there any others? I will conduct a roll call. The first nominee is Sarah Fortney. Again, if you would please show a show of hands when I call by district. District 1. District 2. This is for Sarah Fortney. District 3. District 4. District 5. District 6. District 7. We'll move on to the second nominee, which is Sarah Beth Reynolds. District 1. District 2. District 3.
No, sorry.
District 4. District 5. District 6. District 7. That one received 3. We'll move to the next one, which is the recommendation of Lynn Wilson. District 1. District 2. District 3. District 4. District 5. District 6. District 7. At this time, the majority for the vice chair is Lynn Wilson. At this time, we would now, are there any other questions? I'm sorry. Okay, Lynn Wilson is now vice chair for the 2019-2020 school board. The next item is a designation of time and date and place of the school board meetings. I recommend that work sessions be held on the second and the fourth Tuesday in the superintendent's conference room at 9 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. respectively. School board meetings to be held on the fourth Tuesday at 5 p.m. in the school board auditorium located at 1915 South Flora Avenue, Bartow, Florida. Additional meetings will be scheduled as needed. I will now entertain a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? And the vote. Again, I do not have lights. If you are in favor, please nominate by saying A or show of hands. Aye or show of hands.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes. It is a recommendation that the Roberts proceedings for the school board meetings be held in accordance to the Roberts Rule of Order, revised, and the rules of the Administrative Procedures Act. I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second? Okay. Any discussion? Are there any votes? At this time, we'd like to take a vote. Please vote by raising your hands. Ladies, can you see? I know they don't have lights. If you're in favor, please raise your hands. Sorry, but we don't have lights on this end. Are there any nays? Please raise your hand for nay. Motion passes. The final item is the approval of the Resolution 2019-2020-11, authorizing the banks of Polk County, Florida, as depositories of school funds to honor and cash warrants drawn against said funds when signed by the board chair and the secretary of the board. I will now entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? Is there a vote? Please raise your hand if you're in favor. Any opposed? Motion passes. This completes the reorganization at this time of the school board of Polk County as required by law. I will now yield the gavel to our new school board chair.
Good evening. Here we go. I believe we are to the point of our special recognitions, and so I would like to ask Ms. Bird if you would be so kind and lead us through our special recognitions today.
I will.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to ask school board member Sarah Beth Reynolds to please step to the front for our special recognitions. Next, I would like to ask John Miller, curriculum specialist for accelerated programs, to come forward to recognize the presidential scholars.
Good evening. Thank you, Superintendent Byrd, school board members, and district staff for this opportunity to recognize some of our academically outstanding high school seniors. As part of the U.S. Department of Education Presidential Scholars Program, Each state Department of Education is asked to select a limited number of current high school seniors from that state to receive this national recognition. In September, the Florida Department of Education sent us a memorandum of the guidelines describing this state process for selecting the presidential scholars from Florida. According to the guidelines, each district was to select only 2 seniors from the district to be the state finalists from that district. Along with several other criteria, 1 student was to be selected based largely on high achievement on the SAT or ACT assessments, and 1 student was to be selected on the basis of academic achievement in the area of career technical education. In Polk County, we asked all the high school leadership staff to select the students from their school they felt were most worthy of consideration. High schools submitted the names to the district in September and early October. We received 31 names of students from our schools. A committee of district curriculum staff reviewed the submissions and academic histories of the applicants to determine the 2 names we would provide to the Florida Department of Education. We appreciate this opportunity to publicly recognize all 31 students and the fact that leadership staff at their school specifically identified them as one of only 2 students in their entire school. So I want to say congratulations to all of these students. We'd like to call all 31 district finalists to the front, if there's space, to receive their certificate and stand for a group photo. Audience, if you could hold your applause until the end, that would be most appreciated. All right, I'll start with the schools for you board members that might want to know where these kids are coming from. From Lakeland High School in the area of high SAT and ACT scores, Carol Aliman. From Tenorock Senior in the area of excellence in career technical education, Tia Bankhead. From Fort Meade Middle Senior in the area of high SAT ACT score, Jason Bone. From Harrison School of the Arts in the area of excellence in career technical education, Joshua Bowen. From Tenorock Senior in the area of high SAT ACT scores, Daniel Cano. From Lake Gibson Senior in the area of high SAT ACT scores, Sophia Castrolon. From Haines City Senior in the area of excellence in career technical education, Karma Clausen. From Discovery High School in the area of excellence in career technical education, Madison Clyett. From Lakeland High School in the area of high SAT ACT score, Cassidy Cook. From Harrison School of the Arts in the area of high SAT or ACT score, Christina Cunningham. From Discovery High School in the area of high SAT ACT scores, Gary Gowdy. From McKeel Academy in the area of high SAT ACT score, Tyler Gwinstead. From Winter Haven Senior in the area of excellence in career technical education, Kelsey Gross. From Kathleen Senior in the area of high SAT ACT scores, Kylie Hollis. From Mulberry Senior in the area of high SAT ACT scores, Micah Kirkham. Also from Mulberry Senior in the area of excellence in career technical education, Gavin Leopold. From Haines City IB in the area of high SAT ACT score, June Ying. From Bartow IB in the area of high SAT ACT score, Emma Maserio. From Haines City Senior in the area of high SAT ACT score, Aria McDaniel. From Bartow IB in the area of high SAT and ACT score, Owens Parker. From Lake Region Senior in the area of excellence in career technical education, Adam Scharf. From Haines City IB in the area of excellence in career technical education, Olivia Schneider. From McKeel Academy in the area of high SAT ACT score, Isabella Smith. From Auburndale Senior in the area of high SAT/ACT score, Olivia Smith. From Kathleen Senior in the area of excellence in career technical education, Sean Stoltz. From Lake Gibson Senior in the area of excellence in career technical education, Jared Thompson. From Lake Region Senior in the area of high SAT/ACT score, Jacob Thompson. From Auburndale Senior in the area of high SAT/ACT score, Colby Todd. From George Jenkins Senior in the area of excellence in career technical education, Thomas Townley. From Winter Haven Senior in the area of high SAT or ACT scores, Arston Walker. And from Fort Meade Middle Senior in excellence in career technical education, Jacqueline Zavala. We could give all of these students a round of applause. We know that many of these students have been juggling A-team and work and volunteer hours, so I appreciate their commitment and your commitment to be here tonight. As I said, we can only send 2 names to the state, and I really, in looking at many of these students, I wish we could send more. But because we can only send 2, we did have a process. We want to announce at this time the 2 state finalists who will be representing Polk County are Owens Parker from the International Baccalaureate at Bartow High School in the area of SAT and ACT scores, and Jared Thompson from Lake Gibson Senior in the area of CTE. And we have another certificate. Congratulations. And I'll yield to the photographers what we want to do, but thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations to each of you and your families. You're welcome.
I'm feeling very old. I remember when Owens Parker was born.
You're aging yourself, Wes.
Yeah, really.
I think we can continue. I see they're quietly exiting out. Next, I'd like to ask Susan Copeland, Executive Director of Polk Education Foundation, to come forward for recognition of Suncoast Credit Union.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I'd like to recognize Suncoast Credit Union and their foundation. And with me today, I have Cindy Helton. Cindy is the Executive Director of their foundation. If you've been watching in our community, you may recognize that Suncoast moved into Polk County in 2017, and immediately upon them being part of our community, they became involved with our school district and the Education Foundation. In those 2 short years, they've donated $40,000 to the Education Foundation to support our programs and services, and $13,000 to the school district directly. So things they've been involved with If the district or the new teacher orientation, the Polk Symposium, and the We3 Expo, we now know as our school showcase. With the Education Foundation, they provide scholarships to 2 seniors graduating from our high schools. They sponsor our AmeriCorps Polk Reads program that's helping struggling primary readers become better readers. They help honor our teachers and school-related employees at our annual banquet. They give us $5,000, and so they're our largest individual donor for one grant. So we provide a grant to a school every year, and we're in the process of judging those right now. They helped us honor students and community members at our Hall of Fame banquet, and they also are a sponsor of our free teacher market. So last year, they were especially generous. They not only sponsored the market, but their office took up supplies for us from all of their vendors. So we took 2 cargo vans to Tampa to pick up all the supplies that they gave us. They also collected funds from their vendors and from employees and everyone they could, and an additional $2,000 came to us that way to help purchase more supplies. But the other thing that really struck me as special was that Cindy came and gave her time one afternoon to unpack supplies and help stock our shelves and to work a market opening. So she got to meet one of our school board members who came, and she talked with teachers that were there. And we appreciate our financial donors. We always will and always have, but when someone comes and works alongside you to make things happen, that's really special. So I wanted to let you all know what they're doing in our district and what I think they'll continue to do, we hope, and to thank her publicly because it's such a big deal. And again, she's here from Tampa today to be with us. So I thought I'd let her say just a few things.
Thanks, Susan. Real brief, we love working with Polk County. You guys are really, ever since I started coming over to work with her crew is amazing. And that's why I chose my volunteer hours to work. And let me tell you, they worked me, okay, all day. But it was a great day. And we just love being in Polk County and helping out. And I think I've said this before, but just remember, give me a chance to say no. So keep us in mind. We're here for you. And just keep us in mind for anything you might need. We appreciate you. Thank you very much.
I think they'd like to get a picture.
Oh, sure.
Come on, Susan. You gotta be in there. You are PEF.
Thank you. At this time, will Dr. Maria Longa, Senior Director of Federal Programs, and Dr. Michael H., Chief Academic Officer, as well as Cheryl Joe, Senior Director of Professional Development, come forward to recognize the achievement of 13 faculty members from Kathleen High School.
Thank you. Good evening, School Board, Chair, Mrs. Byrd, Superintendent. It's my great pleasure to be here and to recognize this evening the achievement of faculty at Kathleen Senior who have earned their Master's in Ed Leadership program and funded fully through the Schools of Hope competitive grant. The focus of this recognition is our graduates, but before we get to them, I want to take just a few moments and recognize some key players without whose involvement this would not have been possible. First, our superintendent, Mrs. Byrd. She had the vision and the determination to have me apply for this grant, and then reapply again when I didn't get it the first time. She does not let you give up, let me tell you. One of the ways that she puts students first, we have that everywhere, right? Students first. One of the ways that she puts students first is investing in our teachers, in our staff, in our leaders in the district. And this cohort is a perfect example of how she does that, amongst many others. The vision, though, was not just individual teachers, individual staff getting individual degrees. This is a collective achievement, right? The vision was for us to create a community of learners at Kathleen through this cohort and through the entire grant. and modeling for the students at Kathleen the importance of education, of continuing your education, of making education a priority. So the folks that we're recognizing tonight did just that, despite the barriers, despite the hardships, despite having to work all day. Then they showed the students, they walked the talk and showed them how important education is. So I thank you. I also want to recognize the leadership at the school. Ernest Joe was there that first year that we got the award as the leader of the school, and so with Johnny Jackson and Mr. Robertson as well. So without the leadership at the school, this would not have worked out as well as it did. My mission with any of my grants is to take as much off the plate of the school leadership, of the staff, as possible, right? But we all know that with extra money comes a lot of extra work. And truly, you guys were phenomenal. You never hesitated. You were always right there. Despite whatever crazy timeline or crazy documentation I asked you for, you were always there, so thank you. At the district level, I want to recognize Cheryl Joe. She does not ever miss a beat if you know her, and she jumped right in when we got this grant and helped me. She was great with the cohort in particular, by streamlining the process of getting the books, helping to navigate the internships, all of that. So I really want to recognize her for helping to make it go as smoothly as it did. Also at the district, Dr. Akes was part of the initial planning for the first application and really deserves the credit for the idea, the concept of creating this large cohort in the grant. It was challenging to work in because the grant had a lot of particulars, but it was even more challenging to actually implement once we got it. It was like, oh my gosh, okay, now we actually have to do this. And so he really kept me from losing hope along the way with the Schools of Hope. And then Dr. Bill Black, oh my gosh, what can I say about Dr. Black? He has been such a tremendously helpful partner and such a great guide for you all. So from the very first planning meeting when we shared with him what the timeline for implementation was going to be, anyone else, I think, might have run away, but he did not. He shook his head a few times, but he didn't run away. So he's been my angel. Without all of the work that he did to customize the program, to negotiate the bureaucracy at USF, it would not have even started. They say it takes a village, and as you can see, God has been good to me. I believe he sends angels my way, truly, to help me in times of need. And this has been a tremendously great team effort that I've been really honored to be a part of. Before calling up the graduates, I want to give Dr. Akes, Dr. Black, Mrs. Joe, a chance to say a few words, if you want.
Thank you, Dr. Longer, for a great overview. What I've asked Ms. Joe to actually pass out was an overview of all the partnerships we have with our different universities. And truly, whenever this idea was birthed, I don't think that Dr. Long or Dr. Black or Cheryl Joe knew what the undertaking we was talking about. And when you're talking about 3 large organizations and you're trying to get to yes, working through the bureaucracy, but I got to tell you, those 3 worked through it. It never was a case of where we're not going to be able to. The magic that Dr. Black worked on over there at USF needs to be commended. And also Dr. Longo being able to make sure that we could reimburse these students as quickly as possible. They made it all happen, and it's absolutely a thrill tonight to be able to see them be recognized, and it was a thrill when they were able to get their actual diplomas over there at USF. And I'd like to ask Dr. Black to come up and say a few words about that.
Thank you, Dr. Akes. Thank you, Superintendent Byrd. Thank you, School Board. This has been a wonderful journey for us. One of the reflections that I've had the pleasure of going out and visiting universities around the country this year. And one of the stories I bring with me is the story of Kathleen High School and the wonderful leadership at the district. And this is a model for the nation in many ways of figuring out ways in which multiple organizations can come together and make things happen. And the leadership of Polk County has been exceptional. The leadership at Kathleen has been exceptional. And the leadership of our cohort members has been exceptional. That doesn't mean there aren't times when people got a little tired and we dragged a little bit, but they continued on, they persevered, and we have a wonderful set of leaders, and we really look forward to many more engagements in the future. And Dr. Akes had said that he appreciated working some magic at USF. Yes, it's a large bureaucracy, but one of my angels is Dr. Sabrina Lewis, who assisted us throughout this process in Department of Teaching and Learning, and she has been invaluable in this as well. So it's been a team effort, and we really, really appreciate the opportunity and the learning opportunity for us on our end. So thank you very much.
As a result of the success with that cohort, I'd like Ms. Joe to kind of go over the page that we gave you, that one pager that I'm so famous for, and actually show you the work that we're doing to invest in our teaching force. Cheryl?
Board Chair and Superintendent, I must first say, I cannot be prouder of this group of educators. They have really stepped up, and I tell you, they're like my children. And I am so, so proud of Kathleen High School, Mr. Jackson, Mr. Robinson for all their hard work. As I brought to you in October at the October board meeting, we had 3 principals finish our EDS program. And now we're starting with another cohort. The ones we recognized at our last board meeting were Terry Christian, Sybil Odom Jackson, and Michael Young. The principals presented their capstone projects on July 22nd. The EDS program is designed for, as you know, for experienced administrators to receive and to go to our turnaround and low-performing schools to make a difference. Starting in January, we have a new cohort. And I must say again, it is thanks to the superintendent having the vision that school leadership is important. We focus on teacher effectiveness, but then we look at school leaders and to building that team, she always says. We also have, Polk has also started, and with Dr. Longa's vision, another cohort. We have principal interns we started in 2013 with the Gulf Coast Partnership, and we have 18 participants. Then we have 14 principal interns in level 2 this year. Also, to build that pipeline, Dr. Longa had another opportunity, and we interviewed 48 teachers who are receiving full tuition for their master's degree in educational leadership, as well as our aspiring leaders. In reading, and thanks to Dr. Lewis, who was recognized by Dr. Black, we have 18 students going through our Masters of Reading program. And why is this important? We had a Senate Bill 77, and that required our teachers who are instructing low-performing students to be reading endorsed. And this group, USF, stepped up and said, we'll come to you. And they're coming, all of these folks are coming over to Kathleen and other schools to make that difference. We have a partnership with Florida Southern, and to help our schools through our SIG grant, we have a partnership with Bartow Middle. We have 16 EDD students, 6 Masters of Science, 4 Bachelors of Arts, and this is investing in our parents and our school support staff to get their bachelor's degree to contribute back to our school, and that is truly putting students first. Also, new this year, and it's a cohort at McLaughlin and Lake Marion Creek to recruit and inspire our teachers to go out to our schools in the East Polk County area. We have Florida Southern doing cohorts. At McLaughlin, we have 9 EDD students and 6 Masters of Science students. At Lake Marion Creek, 3 EDD students, 1 Master of Science, and 2 Bachelors of Arts. It is truly an inspiration by our superintendent and our school board to invest in this wonderful opportunity. Thank you.
All right, so I have a red flower to present to each of the graduates that are here as a symbol of the blossoming they've achieved through their studies, and also a symbol of the strength that they have as leaders in their school and their communities. So as I call your name, and I also want to differentiate, there are 13 graduates that I'm going to call first, and they have already completed everything necessary for their degree. And then there are a few others that also have graduated but are wrapping up their studies this year. Almost everyone will be done by the end of the fall. And again, blessed that DOE actually, through a rare show of flexibility at the last minute, allowed us to a no-cost extension for the project into this year for a final third year. So that's why we were able to extend it a little bit. So as I call your name, please come up. Corinthian Barnes, Aaron Kress, Donald Campbell, Sarah Edwards, Jerome Frederick, Dion Facey Poitier, Allison Heflin, Erica Morse, Beth Nance, Kristen Nicholson, Andrea O'Sullivan, Stephen Poletis, Amy Schertzer, Kimberly Coffin, Cynthia Garcia, Cornell Kirkendall, Jerry Magnus, Robert Miller, Yvonne Miller, husband and wife team, it was so sweet, Jessica Mahmood. I'm honored to have been able to support you. Thank you.
Mr. Jackson, you and Mr. Roberts want to join in on it? Because Lord knows y'all been told. Come on. All right, way to go.
Thank you and congratulations to each of you. Next, I would like to ask School Board Member Lisa Miller to please read the proclamation supporting the 2020 U.S. Census. Rachel Pleasant, Senior Director of Communications, will come forward to recognize Reginald Earl, Partnership Specialist with the U.S. Census Bureau.
Whereas every 10 years, the U.S. Census Bureau counts residents across the country, and whereas the official deadline for residents to submit their Census 2020 form is April 1st, 2020, and whereas a complete count ensures accurate census data which provides information critical for government programs, policies, and decision-making, and whereas this includes federal representation and funding of programs such as supplemental nutrition assistance, Section 8 housing choice vouchers, children's health insurance, and low-income home energy assistance. And whereas census data determines representation in Congress and is used to redraw boundaries of congressional and state legislative districts. And whereas census data determines the allocation of funding for numerous public resources, including schools. And whereas more than $675 billion in federal funding is distributed each year to communities across the country based on census data. And whereas to help communities thrive, it is important to encourage everyone to participate in the 2020 census. And whereas the use of the U.S. Census Bureau tools, information, and messaging in creative ways is encouraged to raise awareness of the 2020 census. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the School Board of Polk County hereby proclaim its support and commitment to partnering with the U.S. Census Bureau to help ensure a full and accurate count in 2020.
Superintendent Byrd, board members, thank you for letting us do this proclamation this evening. I'm here with Reggie Earl. He's a partnership specialist with the U.S. Census Bureau and my new best friend. In previous census years, the Census Bureau has really spearheaded the marketing of the census, but this year the census is asking for help from local municipalities, the school district, here locally, the Board of County Commissioners, Polk Vision. We're all working together to market the census. And with Superintendent Byrd's support, we are about to, this night sort of kicks off our marketing efforts here at the school district. We have a pretty detailed and multifaceted marketing plan that includes academics, various groups, various divisions of our technology, various divisions within our school district, and of course, public relations is heavily involved in that. So lots of census activities that will kick off because it's really important to get a complete and accurate count because as the proclamation said, a lot of our funding and other aspects of our business depend on census data. So here's Reggie Earl with the Census Bureau.
Thank you, Rachel. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, board and superintendent. I want to thank you all for your commitment. It's very obvious of the staff leadership that Rachel has shown under the guidance of Superintendent Byrd has shown itself to be very active. The school system has jumped right on this census effort from day one, working collaboratively with the Board of County Commissioners. Again, the idea and the wonderful thing is listening to these teachers that have been trained through grant dollars and other activities at USF, a proud USF graduate stands here as well, is that these things are all based on census data. We want to make sure that Polk County and the state of Florida maintains its resources that are returned to the communities. We want to make sure that we focus on those hard-to-count communities, and Polk County School District leads the way in working with everyone in Polk County, and the Board of County Commissioners, again, has welcomed Rachel's involvement on the executive team, and again, on behalf of the Southern Region of the U.S. Census Bureau and its Executive Director, Mr. George Grandy, I accept this proclamation on his behalf, and this will be going to Atlanta. Thank you for all's commitment, and good night. Those are just little tokens of appreciation from the Atlanta region.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That concludes our recognitions for this evening.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. The next item is public comments on agenda items. Is there anyone in the audience this evening who wishes to come forward to speak to an item that is on our agenda? Seeing none, we shall proceed. Board members, now we need to approve 2 sets of minutes. The first set of minutes is for the October 22nd, 2019 board meeting. The chair will entertain a motion to accept the October 22nd, 2019 school board meeting minutes as printed.
Move to accept. Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I would like to call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. The second set of minutes is for the October 22nd, 2019 work session. The chair will entertain a motion to accept the October 22nd, 2019 school board work session minutes as printed.
Move approval to accept the minutes of the October 22nd, 2019 work session.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I would like to call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. The next item is the approval of the consent agenda for November 12, 2019. The chair will entertain a motion to accept the November 12, 2019 consent agenda as printed.
Madam Chair, move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I would like to call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. The next item is new administrator announcements. Mrs. Byrd, do we have any announcements today?
No, we do not.
Okay, then we shall proceed. Next, we come to our regular agenda. Under Facilities and Operations, General Items, Architectural Services, number R47, approve the selection of Parlier and Cruz Architects, PA, to provide architectural services for the 26 classroom addition at Ben Hill Griffin Elementary. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I would like to call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. Under Support Services, General Items, we have R48, approve the purchase of 50 school buses to replace the same number of buses in the fleet at a cost of $5,466,397. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I would like to call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. The next item is R49, approve declaring aged inventory buses from the bus fleet sale list for November 2019 as sale or surplus in order to sell at auction. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I would like to call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. And that concludes our regular agenda. The next item is our superintendent's report. Mrs. Byrd, do you have an update for us today?
I do, thank you. I would like to first thank everyone that came out to our school showcase, which we had our students out on Thursday, Friday of last week, and our community was out on Saturday. We saw over 2,500 community members, and then we also saw pretty close to over 8,000 of our students on Thursday, Friday. Thank you to the staff at all the schools and the district staff for making sure that we can showcase who we are in Polk County. And I can tell you that it was a great turnout again this year, and we're already planning for next year. I would also like to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Yes, I'm wishing it early, and safe travels, because the school and district offices will be closed from November 25th through the 29th so that our staff can have time with their family and friends. We will reopen for normal business hours on December the 2nd. The next work session will be held on Tuesday, December 10th, 2019 at 12:30 p.m. in the Superintendent's Conference Room, followed by a 5 p.m. school board meeting held in the auditorium located at 1915 South Floral Avenue, Bartow, Florida. Thank you, and this concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you, Mrs. Byrd. Next, we have our attorney's report, which will be given by Mr. Bridges.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and congratulations to you and to Mr. Wilson. I know this is not your first rodeo, and you will both do a beautiful job. I do have a single item. Typically, I come to you for authority to advertise public hearings. We had a time crunch on one that needs to go in December. It is the medical marijuana policy that Mrs. Dodge presented at the work session today. We caused that to be advertised yesterday, so there would be 28 days before the next board meeting. So no vote is required, but I did want to advise you on the record that we have advertised for the public hearing to be held at the December board meeting. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Bridges. And there will be no auditor's report today, so we will move forward. And now we will have our board member reports. So let's start today with Mr. Townsend.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Congratulations. I do want to start by thanking Len Wilson for what I think was an absolutely outstanding two years as chair. I think we're navigating some not always easy currents, and I think always did it with grace and always did it with balancing the importance of order and decorum with the importance of openness and transparency. I think you're a truly outstanding chair. And I think this is a much more functional and effective board than some people out there may think. I think if you watch our work session today, which was long, you have to invest 4 or 5 hours in it. There was a lot going on that's serious. Like I mean, everybody up here is serious. We're talking about serious things, and so I think, Len, you've been a big part of making sure we stay focused on that. I think you deserve a lot of credit. So thank you. Just part of the theme of what we talked about today in a lot of different ways is looking at data on one hand and looking at something from the point of view of a child's experience on the other. I think this brought to mind, I attended the community assessment team meetings at Tenoroc. There were probably 12 or 13 or 10 schools there. These are the schools that are in so-called turnaround that may have slipped into a D or whatever the school board says they are. And those are what's striking when you go to one of those meetings is how little the humanity of the children is talked about. It's the data this, it's the data that, it's the data this, it's the data that, and that's entirely understandable. That's what the people who run our schools and run our district are pressured and evaluated on. But it really is striking. I was in 3 or 4 different presentations, and it's all numbers all the time. And I think you guys have heard me say this before about Florida. I'm going to say it again. Chasing numbers in Florida for a generation hasn't only hurt the experience of our kids and the people who work with them. It's hurt the numbers. Florida's growth numbers are terrible. The longer a kid is in the Florida system, the worse their test score numbers get relative to the rest of the country. There's a lot of data on this now. I mean, if we care about data at all, we got to look at what it's saying. In 4th grade, our kids are 4th or 5th in the country on the NAEP math test. By 8th grade, they're 38th. That's a collapse. And whether it's because we're artificially spiking fourth grade because of third grade retention, or if it's just kids get tired of being in this model, it doesn't really matter. It's a problem, and it's a long-standing one. It goes back to 2003. I want an education system built first and foremost around the humanity of the kids. I'm going to fight for that. And I just, if you go and you look at, go and watch the meeting today, you'll see some very high level, very strategic, very, I think, important discussions about that and pressure. I mean, we as a board are leaning on staff to overcome a lot of their incentives, which are based around misuse of data in a lot of ways at the state level. So just wanted to note that. I was trying to catch the Kathleen folks before they left, but I mean, I think Kathleen illustrates what good, humane leadership can do. The energy at Kathleen in the last few years, starting with Mr. Joe's year, with Mr. Jackson as a co-principal, and then picking up from there. It's not just in their numbers, but if you look at the band competition this year and how their band has been transformed. You can see the energy there. I heard from a science teacher who's just moved there this year, who loves it and feels the palpable spirit there. And I can't help but think that the teachers who took the responsibility to be leaders under Mr. Jackson's leadership have affected that culture there in a way that a number of other high schools would do well to emulate. Shifting to a totally pleasant note, attended the Oklahoma presentation play at Harrison Sunday afternoon. It was their 30th anniversary, 30th. It's really the pinnacle of excellence, and that's what Harrison's about. It's about taking the most talented kids in Polk County and making them better, pushing them. But the night before that, the night before that, I went and saw Clue at Winter Haven High, which is a different model. It's not a specially created school. It's a bunch of kids who are creative under good leadership at a good school, learning the disciplines and learning how to perform. And it was excellent as well. Funny, hilarious. Lots of dead people, which is always funny. Kidding. And I want to put in a plug for Lake Gibson High this weekend. They're doing a play of 1984, which I'm fired up to see because I'm sure that'll be right up my alley. So the arts are alive not just at the pinnacle of Harrison, but across the district, and we have so many talented kids who, when given the chance to perform and express their humanity, do so beautifully. And finally, I think some of you saw there's been an agreement reached between the union and I guess it's the superintendent on our collective bargaining agreement. It's not appropriate for us to vote on that or anything tonight. But you saw the contours of it. I think the union will decide whether to ratify that or not. We have $10 million to work with, and however you divide that up is, I'm happy to work with anybody on that. The point I want to make though is the best and brightest bonus that has been, instead of being administered at the state level, is now been sent down here to be administered, and it's roughly $10 million that we have on hand. That if we were allowed to free that up for salaries for all teachers, could give a $1,500 raise to every teacher tomorrow. The legislature tomorrow could have a special meeting and say, you know what, best and brightest is a truly stupid and counterproductive bonus. We're going to free that $10 million for local districts to use for our teacher salaries. if they were to do that, we'd have an extra $1,500 per teacher to give in recurring money, but we don't, and that's the consequence of working in a state system where the state really doesn't know what it's doing. And to that end, there's a big protest on, I think it's January 14th, it might be the 13th. I know a lot of our folks are already planning to go. I plan to be on the bus with them going to Tallahassee. I don't know what the policy is on this, but I can tell you as a board member, whatever we have to do up to shutting down for the day, to allow our people to fight for the existence of public education, to fight for humane education, I fully support. So I just want to throw that out there because I know a ton of our people are already planning to go, and I support them 100%. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Ms. Fortney?
Yeah, I do encourage you to watch the work session from today. I ran out of time and didn't get a chance. I was going to bring up what Mr. Townsend said about the 13th and 14th. A lot of districts have, in order for their teachers to rally and staff to rally, to make positive change, they have shut the district down, which would have been my request. And if not, at least to get some sort of something that says that we're not going to retaliate against folks that take personal days for the 13th and the 14th. Because I think that's what a lot of them are worried about, that we won't stand up for them. And I too will be there both days in support of our staff. The other thing, I ran out of time today in the work session. There is a petition circulating on Facebook, change.org, about requiring, guess what, a mental health professional for each school, which is now one of our legislative priorities, which I thanked Superintendent for and whoever else thought to put it on there, because to me that is our most needed position, along with more than 21 social workers and guidance counselors that can actually guide instead of push papers. I wanted to thank the many people that contributed and attended Peggy's memorial service. It was really nice. Special thank you to Christ Promise Church, Polk Pride for the beautiful flowers, and the Mark Wilcox team, Tiny But Mighty, put on a food spread for everybody with fellowship. It was very nice. I want to thank the Bartow Downtown Business Community for the treat parade. I don't know if y'all have ever got to see that, where the kids walk down through there. Oh my God, they are so cute. And it was just amazing to watch them, and the parents and the staff, a lot of which I taught. And Lake Region High School and our ESC staff did the Polk Symposium. It's really evolving into a really special event. That was a great way to spend a Saturday talking to folks. Speaking of special, I got to give a big shout out to every high school band director and our band parents, who I know are some of the hardest working parents on the planet Earth. Every time you turn around, Winter Haven High School band parents put that on. I talked to one guy, he hadn't had a kid in band in 20 years, and there he sat doing his thing. But I have a special shout out. I looked down and I saw Auburndale High School senior football players come in to support their band. It was awesome. I taught most of those kids in 8th grade great things they will do. They were great in 8th grade, and they're going to be even greater in life. But just to see them sitting there supporting the band, and not just that, they cheered them on, like when they were coming off the field. It was, and Auburndale High School's band rocked it. So that was just really great. So I wanted to give a shout out to those kids their senior year. Ben out at Hearth, he loaded my 4Runner with supplies for Kathleen Middle School, and then I don't know the name of the gentleman who helped me unload them out there that day, but bless his heart, because it was filled to the rim with stuff that they could possibly use. Another shout out to Danny Higgins again, did a community outreach for her parents and kids out at Mulberry High School. Another big success. She's always working hard for our kids. We went to the Stevens, Purcell, and Kingsford meetings, valuable information. I went and visited a whole bunch of visual arts classrooms at Sykes and George Jenkins, Mulberry High School, Highland City, Spencer Holland. Man, we got some talented teachers and kids. Unbelievable talent. Then I went out to Area 6, and Margie fed me the hottest chili I've ever had in my mouth, but she won the chili cook-off. It was delicious, but it was hot. Frostproof, I went down there to see Alex's band. Oh my God, he is an amazing teacher, and there is amazing learning going on down there. I promised him I would come, and I did. They played a Columbine piece that was awesome. Like, it almost made you cry, because you could just kind of sense the whole meaning of it. I would like to invite y'all to the community partners and staff bringing voices together, an education summit Thursday the 21st at the Winter Haven Rec and Cultural Center there on Dr. M.O.K. Boulevard in Winter Haven. Starts at 6 to 8, and the more the merrier. And my very last thing is the showcase, as Superintendent Byrd said, wow, what great exposure for our elementary and 8th grade kids to see the possibilities and the great things that our kids and our students and staff do. Because as I said today in the work session, why do we need to do that? Because public schools just do it better. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fortney. Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, I'd like to thank Mr. Townsend for the kind words. It truly has been a privilege and an honor serving the past couple years as school board chair. You know, we have 7 incredibly focused school board members, and that creates some unique challenges. And not the least of which is finding that balance between providing governance and giving the superintendent the room she needs to run the school board. But, you know, I'm very proud of my colleagues on this board, because there's no question in my mind that everyone here has first and foremost in their mind moving the school district forward, keeping our students in mind, putting them first, putting our employees first, and just moving the school district forward. I think we are finding our way. I think that we've made great progress, and I'm very proud of that and the efforts that everyone on this board has made. I want to congratulate Ms. Cunningham. I look forward to your leadership over the coming year, and I know under your leadership we're going to have a truly outstanding year, and I look forward to that. What else? I want to say special. I hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving and a very restful Thanksgiving, and I guess that's it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Ms. Reynolds?
Congratulations, Madam Chair, and thank you. Thank you. First, I want to talk a little bit about our Principal for a Day program that ran in Winter Haven at the beginning of the month. We had 5 different schools that each had 2 CEOs or business leaders shadowing the principal for the day. I think it was very eye-opening for some of our business leaders as what they go through on a daily basis. I got to pop in at Elbert for a little while, where we had Katie Worthington from the Winter Haven Chamber and Lindsay Zimmerman from Central Florida Development Council. And I sat in on their Q&A session with some of the administrators, instructional coaches, interventionists, talking about, what do you need? How can we help you? And just listening to the dialogue, it was really interesting to see things that the community says, oh, we think this is a need, and the school saying, that's great, but this is how we would really like to be able to direct that support or direct those volunteers. And just the mutual understanding between the 2 organizations. I know from that partnership, it's already, the Chamber, I think, launched a survey this week of, are you available to come help at Great American Teach-In in a couple of weeks, which is huge for that they're going out to all of their business contacts saying, this is a need in our schools, how can we help fill this need? Because the Chamber has probably the most business contacts in Winter Haven. Surprising, I know. But the fact that they're helping facilitate that So I know a lot of great relationships are blooming out of that program, and that came out of Mr. Steve Warner's department as our community liaison. Secondly, I got to go see Oklahoma, a sneak peek at the final dress rehearsal because I was going to be out of town the weekend that they did it, and it was incredible. Those kids are so talented. I love the theater to begin with. That's my other job. That's my other life. And it's really cool to see some of those kids that one of the leads I've known since she was 7 or 8, and she's had the voice of an angel since she was 7 or 8, but to see all that she's doing now, it's just really cool to see how much they can flourish when they get there and are pushed a little bit to the edge. So I had another one. On the 14th, which is this coming Thursday, if you are in Winter Haven, they are doing Drive for Success at Winter Haven High School. So from 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., if you stop by, they'll be set out in front of the gymnasium. You can test drive a car, and it's Jarrett Gordon Ford is doing it. They will donate $20 to the school just for you test driving a car. It's really easy. It takes maybe 15 minutes. All you have to do is be 18 or up with a valid driver's license. They don't ask about your driver's record or anything. I was shocked last time I went. They let me do it. So really, anybody can do it. Miss Bird, anybody can do it, you included. But so if you have time on Thursday, I would love to see the community out supporting them because it really is an easy fundraiser for them. And Jarrett Gordon Ford has been very gracious in doing it every year. Lastly, and I think it's lastly, let me check my calendar. So 2 things, both are academy related. My watch is notifying me that I have a high heart rate because I'm so excited about it. But I got to tour the Academies of Nashville last week, which was the most incredible experience. We're doing great things in our academies here. For those of you that aren't aware, Academies of Nashville is kind of where that model really started and bloomed into what it is today. They are wall-to-wall in all of their traditional public high schools, which means that every single high school student at a traditional public high school in Nashville is enrolled in an academy, which was kind of crazy when you think about it, but talking to those students, they are so well prepared and they get it. They understand that, I may not go to college, I may be in a career, but they have, their freshman seminar course is teaching them that you have options. You can be an attorney or you can be a mechanic on a car, that there's so many opportunities that you have. You just have to put the work in and we'll help get you there, but you just have to show up and do the work. So it was a really cool opportunity. I'm thrilled that some of our academy coaches were there with us, and they have a million ideas coming back. But it was a great experience, and bringing all of that back to Polk County is going to be an incredible opportunity for our students. Also on academies, we had our school showcase, as several people have referenced. I know that I believe one of our staff members today, Carolyn Bridges, mentioned one of the students saying, I thought Polk County was this little place, and there's so many schools here and so many different things that I can do, that if you were at RP Funding Center this week, you could hardly find anything because there are so many booths, because there are just incredible things happening in the academies at every one of our schools. So if you aren't familiar with an academy, go check out some of your local schools. It's all on our website. Open enrollment started on the 5th and goes through December 13th. Is that correct? So please go check out some of the cool things that our kids are doing in the academies. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Reynolds. Mrs. Fields?
I'm going to attempt to give a report with my voice. I just wanted to kind of piggyback from Ms. Reynolds' comments about the school showcase. I was very impressed, and I think a lot of people don't realize what we have to offer, not just for students, but for adults. I was looking at all the offerings from Ridge and Travis, and it's amazing to me what is available for many people in our community who are trying to figure out what they want to do with themselves, even after becoming an adult. So I would encourage anyone, not just our students, but anyone in the community, and the offerings are just amazing, and they're very affordable. So I would encourage anyone who's trying to figure out what they want to do beyond high school to look at some of those options there. I also want to commend Dr. Kim Stanke and her staff for the amazing job that they did at the ESC Symposium a couple of weeks ago. I got a chance to go through a couple of their sessions. One was on the IEP process, and the other one was on can't remember what it was. Anyway, I went to two, and Miss Fortney was there as well, and I'm sure there were others. Excuse me?
I think it was PTA.
No, it wasn't PTA. Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you, the 504 plan, thank you. Because my grandson is on that in Denver, so I wanted to learn a little bit more about that. But Dr. Stanky, your team was amazing. You all did a great job. The community came out to support. There were a lot of parents. I think every room was full. We had to get chairs, so many people. So keep up the good work. Also, I wanted to announce for those who might remember Otis Anthony. Otis Anthony was our first senior director of our diversity department. Years ago, he came in when Dr. McKenzie was the superintendent of schools. He passed away on Friday. And I don't think it was expected, but he was an amazing man. He was a strong civil rights leader. He worked for the cause. He believed in equality for all. And he came and he helped to get our department started. And we're still able to continue the work that he and Dr. McKenzie and others started years ago. So we want to be praying for his family. I also wanted to congratulate the 13 faculty members who came tonight from Kathleen High School. What a great opportunity, Miss Bird, to offer. And we have others. I have a very close family member who is in the cohort at Mulberry Middle School. And she's talking about how hard Florida Southern staff are working there, which is good. And the opportunity to be able to get a master's degree without having to really pay anything for that. So to me, that's a great opportunity for our students. But I want to go back to Kathleen High School. Kathleen High School has a special place in my heart, always will. All of my family members, except for me, graduated from Kathleen High School. My husband and my son and my two daughters. I am the only oddball in the family, but I am a Red Devil. And I can't tell you how proud I am of Kathleen High School. A lot of people say negative things about Kathleen High School, but there's so much goodness going on there. And we want to lift them up, and we want to keep them encouraged. And Mr. Jackson and his team are doing an amazing job at Kathleen High School. And then lastly, my voice is still here. Superintendent Byrd, today you were given an awesome annual evaluation. I said this in the work session, and I want to publicly say this tonight. When we went from an elected superintendent to an appointed superintendent, Dr. Gail McKenzie, who's no longer with us, helped us to start the way. She did an amazing job for the time that she was here. We've had other superintendents to come behind her, but I would tell you, you are awesome. You are amazing. You are genuine. You are the real deal. You believe in putting the students first. You don't just talk the talk. You walk the walk. You can mingle with anybody. I mean, you can mingle with anybody. And to me, that's amazing. Because you are humble. And that's what's expected of you. So I want to encourage you. And I want to let you know, I am so proud of you. And I'm so proud that you're our superintendent of schools. And I hope and pray that you will be here for a little while longer. All right? And that ends my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Fields. Ms. Miller?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Congratulations. And Mr. Wilson, thank you for the time I've spent here under your leadership. I want to remind the community, if you don't watch the work sessions, you really should. I can tell you the last two have been very encouraging as far as what we're accomplishing and working together, and I'm very proud of that fact. So I encourage you, I know it's long, but we'll give you time stamps so you can speed through to subjects that interest you. But I really hope that you do watch the work sessions where the real work is done. I'll go through a few things here. I was invited by Congressman Spano to be part of his Economic Development Council. So we met at Polytech University, and I got to sit with community leaders from Lake County and from Hillsborough County, as well as business leaders in our community. And I want to tell you, I was very proud of the fact that I was the only public education representative there, but we had two people. We had a mayor speak up, and we had a leader in the business community speak up and talk about how great our students are and our academies, and that we're turning out phenomenal employees. We're looking at, the conversation will be around the labor force and the effort to keep our talent here. And they're talking about not only keeping executive talent, but skilled labor. And we had a lot of people in the room talking about our great academies and how well we were performing, and our students were coming out ready to work. So I want to give us credit for that. For a long time, we've really, had the opposite, where we weren't sure what the community thought of us. But I can tell you they were speaking very highly, and we need them to speak at that federal level. I also talked to his staff about following up. If you know anything about ESC, IDA is the law that allows children with disabilities to attend our schools. It's not funded well from the federal government. It's only funded about 14%. And it's in conversation now to increase that funding. So I think it's important to talk to your congressmen and officials about how we need the funding from the federal level to make it happen here in Polk County. I want to talk about the Polk Symposium on ESC. Dr. Steinke and staff, along with some parents, had put on a program that I think drew record numbers. It's grown consistently every year, and this year was even better. I enjoyed meeting all the vendors and making those connections. And we had people from homeschool. We had people there from every walk of life, and we really took the time to talk to them and educate them. And we had their local district staff available for them to talk to and meet face to face. I think that's very important. So I appreciate Lake Region opening up and letting us use their facility for that, because it's very important to our community. The band showcase, I was in middle school band, never made it to high school band, but I was super impressed. Lakeland had an airplane on the field. I thought that was interesting. That was Bartow. Excuse me. Bartow had an airplane on the field. I had no idea you could do that with a band. So I learned a lot there and enjoyed. You know what I really enjoyed? Seeing those super small bands who are coming back for the first time, the effort put into that. It's amazing what they're doing. We have some great talent here in Polk County. I spent the last 2 weeks meeting a lot in the community with different businesses and government organizations and concerned community members, which I think is important, that us board members be available to do that. I look forward to the school showcase next year. I can tell you it was the first one I attended. I probably should have been to all the other ones, but this was the first one I went to at RP Funding, and I joked that the alpacas were my favorite. But the thing I loved the most were meeting the staff, the teachers that run these programs, and listening to their needs, and listening and communicating with the students they had there at their booth, and be able to connect with those students. It's not just our, the big academies that you hear from, but we have amazing things. Tinner Rock has a veterinary program. These students can come out with certifications to go into work, which is very important. So I think it was a great opportunity to be able to learn about what our schools offer. I think I'm going to end my report with saying happy birthday tomorrow to Deputy Superintendent John Hill. He is turning the big 6-0, so make sure you congratulate him, and everyone have a great holiday.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Golly, are we supposed to sing happy birthday tonight then? We might run everybody off, so here we go. Okay, I just want to say thank you so much to the board members for placing your confidence in me and electing me chair. I'm humbled, and I pledge to work hard to continue the great work that Mr. Wilson has started. You're a great leader, and I have learned so much from you, and I look forward to your help and guidance as I take on this new role for the coming year. And I look forward to the fact it's going to be fun that you're now my vice chair, so we still get to work together. In addition to that, I had a few things. Oklahoma, as everybody has said, was absolutely phenomenal. Big shout out to Mr. Snagaki, Mr. Folks, Ms. Renfro, Ms. Olson, and Mr. Davis. The work and the time and the effort that's put into those productions are unbelievable, and the hours that the students spend. So congratulations to students, to the crew, the orchestra, parent support, teachers. It just takes a village to put on a production like that. It was fabulous. In addition to that, at Davenport School of the Arts, we saw The Jungle Book, which was presented for the past 2 weekends. Once again, my kudos goes out to Mrs. Kane and Mr. Mosenberg for their hard work, and the tech crews and the students and parents. It's just a wonderful opportunity, as so many have already said. We are so blessed in our county to have so much arts, and the arts make you smart. We already know that. So continue to say thank you to those teachers that work so very hard to inspire our students each and every day. I also want to invite everybody out to, I hope it's okay, Miss Usher, invite everybody out to the groundbreaking for the new high school that's going to be built there adjacent to Davenport School of the Arts. It's going to be on Wednesday, December the 4th at 9:30 a.m. So if any of you listening are in the area and would like to join us for the groundbreaking, we would love to have you come out and share in that great occasion. This past week, Mr. Jason Pitts, our Senior Director of Finance, and I attended the Haines City Chamber of Commerce. I think it was a combined Education Committee and Governmental Affairs Committee meeting where they had a lot of questions about funding and what does it cost to run schools? What kind of financial situation are we in? We're always talking about the fact that we don't have money. And it's really wonderful because Mr. Pitts puts together an incredible presentation and breaks it down so that some complicated formulas and things that ordinarily are hard to understand, you can understand with his presentation. So I just want to give you a shout out, Mr. Pitts, for coming up there and being able to enlighten them. I mean, our mayor was there. It was just a great conversation that everybody had. And so thank you for taking the time to prepare the presentation and for helping to give it and answer lots of questions that we have about our financial situation. And I also want to do a shout out to Wendy Dodge for the wonderful legislative priorities that she printed out that we could hand out at that meeting, because as the chambers around the county are starting to prepare theirs, and maybe some have already done so, it's helpful if we're kind of on the same page. So thank you for putting that together, and I know that our Public Relations Department, Ms. Pleasant, had to kind of race to try to get this done for us for that meeting, and I thought they did a wonderful job. So I just want to thank you for being able to do that so very quickly. And that concludes my report for this evening. And I, too, before I conclude, let me say to Superintendent Byrd that I look forward this year to working not only with our board members, but working closely with you. I agree with Ms. Fields. I feel like your evaluation was stellar. I believe that you have been an incredible superintendent with a heart of gold, and you're one of the best ambassadors for our school district of any superintendent that I've had the pleasure to work with. We have a long road ahead of us. We're 2 years of B school, and my prayer is that we can move that into an A. I know we have a lot of legislative things that we have to work through to get there, but I believe with this board that we're able to accomplish those goals. So I thank you for being our superintendent, and no, you can't go anywhere, at least not for this coming year. We love you and we want you to stay, so just so you know. All righty, so moving forward now, anybody else have anything that they want to add before I move forward with public comments? Okay, our next item on our agenda is public comments addressing items that are not on tonight's agenda. I do have a list of individuals that have signed up to speak. If you would please come forward as I call your name, and then state your name and address for the record, and you will have 3 minutes to speak. The first person is Mr. Hal Wallace. Okay, and I have Mr. Leo Longworth.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So Leo Longworth is my name. I'm 1395 Magnolia Street here in Bartow. So thank you all so much for allowing me to present this to you. I represent a countywide group, but on a smaller level, we met with each of you, and I just wanted to thank you for the meeting and for the opportunity to sit down and talk, even though I was not able to attend each of the meetings, but we really appreciate the time that you spent to talk with us. Congratulations to the new chair, Madam Chair Cunningham, and of course, congratulations to Vice Chair Wilson. We appreciate it. We appreciate changes in the roundtable format. The agendering, the topics is moving in the right direction, and of course, involving more involvement of the superintendent and the staff. We think that that is a step in the right direction. We encourage continued advancement of teamwork and relationship between the board and the superintendent. And of course, what helps this is having effective communications both ways. We feel it's a two-way street. As Vice Chair Wilson said, I'm gonna steal from him, it's about finding that balance. And I'm sure that can be done. We do support the superintendent and the great job that she is doing. And of course, that has been expressed by several of you. And of course, it has been expressed through the results of the evaluation. And of course, we support the district. So we thank you so much for your service to the district, and we extend the very best for a successful school year. I appreciate it again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Longworth. At this time, is there anyone else in the audience that would like to come forward to speak? Once again, if you'll please state your name and address for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Stephanie Yoakum, Polk Education Association President. So a few points. We did come to a tentative agreement. It is currently being advertised on our website. We sent out emails to the links for the change contracts. And I want to address the budgeting. We know there are some things that we could be doing locally to bring money into our employees' pockets. Number one, I would urge you, as you're building your budget for next year, to make salaries the first line item that you look at. Cost out what it would be to have a level increase of experience for all your people. Cost out what it would be to have everybody on their correct level of experience first, because programs don't matter if you don't have people in there to implement those programs. The second thing I urge you to do, and you've heard this from me before, and the Ledger editorial team did a wonderful job in an editorial last week. You have the power to put a millage referendum on the ballot, and I urge you to do it sooner rather than later. Your employees cannot go for 2 years in a row without a salary increase. And whereas I am probably an optimistic through and through, I don't really have a lot of faith in our current legislature to do the right thing and fund our schools. We have the same people in there as we did last session. And we need to take that into our own hands at this point and have meaningful money come in for our people. We need to be all on the same page. And so you all got an invitation last board meeting to our education summit. I urge you, if you have not registered, please come. We need all of our voices heard. We need to all be on the same page. We need to know all perspectives so that we can stand up and speak out together that they are screwing us over in Tallahassee. And then the last point is January 13th. We need something radical to happen. They need to see the power that teachers have. We saw it in Kentucky. The teacher party took over the governorship because that's the power that educators have. We saw it in Virginia. We're seeing it all over the country. We need to capitalize on this, and I urge your support. I know DeSoto schools have decided to close schools for that day. And so that is happening across the state, and I urge us to be a trend setter for this and not just come along on the wayside. Thank you.
Go ahead, Ms. Fortney.
I just wanted to respond to that real quick. Stephanie, what was the other county that's closing? DeSoto County is, wow. That's awesome.
And there are other counties in the Panhandle that are not closing but are holding their people harmless.
I could do both, personally.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward, that would like to speak? Good evening.
I'm Fred McNair, 1995 East Wabash Street here in Bartow. I too like to congratulate the two of you, and I too like to thank you for giving your time to meet with us at Pallet One. I'm here really to speak about Just Say No. I didn't hear anyone speak of Just Say No. The parade will be next Tuesday. It starts from, it ends at Bartow L. It starts at the Chicken Shack, and you know where the Chicken Shack is. And so we have our fifth graders. We have also essay and posters from the fifth graders. I know Ms. Bird will be there. My 30 years of participating in Just Say No, Ernie Cooper is the chairperson of the Just Say No parade. But I would like for you to see at least one board member hanging out with those fifth graders. They are amazing. And I know Chef Grader Judge had been present several times, and I think the principal at Bartow Middle will be our speaker for the fifth graders this year. And you're welcome to come and participate and walk. We have refreshments at the end as we do everything at Bartow L. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. McNair.
Excuse me?
What was the date and time for that again?
That's next Tuesday at 9.
Next Tuesday.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. McNair. And is there anyone else that would like to come forward?
I'm Jasmine Burden of 1145 Gulfview Avenue, and I feel a lot less formal than my previous speakers. But as Ms. Forty mentioned, there was a petition floating around. Ooh.
You're
There's
okay.
There's a petition
Relax.
floating around on social media to basically change the way that we handle mental health in our schools. I am the creator of that petition, and I'm really nervous.
Don't be. Well, don't be, honey. Don't be. Just us. We're family. We're parents, grandparents.
And the model of Polk County Schools is students first. Yes. And as a student in the system, sometimes it feels like we are not being put first. It is not something that is being spoke about it is not something that is being spoke about enough, in my opinion. And I really feel like we need people in our schools to help assist us. We are fighting a battle that we are losing, and it's a silent battle. As someone who has struggled with all of this, it is a hard thing to do to balance school, mental health, extracurricular activities. And the fact that maybe possibly one person in our school that can sit down and talk with us any day of the week, any time of the day, could just help us so much.
Awesome. And what is your name, dear?
I'm Jasmine Burden.
Jasmine.
And just my overall goal is just to help me and my fellow students.
Wonderful. And we have a few board members that would like to comment, so if you'll just stay there for a minute. Ms. Miller?
Hi, Jasmine.
Hi.
No, I just want to tell you that you're amazing. You're an advocate. Look at you in high school already starting a petition on change.org. I think we've talked about this, and Sarah Fortney has led the conversation. Mm-hmm. And I know there's been a response that kind of putting out in the community what we do offer, but I think your input is important. Yes. And we need to include our students in how they receive the services, because we can list supports all day long on a piece of paper, but it's going to be what your experience is. So I think I'd like to make sure that you are able to talk with staff about giving feedback on what your school looks like and the supports that we have there, on how they're actually reaching students. And I want you to keep building change.org petitions as you grow, because it really gets people's attention, or come with the teachers and stand with us on the 13th in Tallahassee. It's really important that our youth know they matter and that your voice is heard. So thank you for coming.
Ms. Fortney?
Well, I feel like I should know you already, because as soon as you put that out there, my name got tagged, right? And I'm just, as a former teacher at Bartow High School, I'm just very proud of you. And like Ms. Miller said, it takes us all together to make change, positive change. And I know that everybody in this room wants that. It's just a matter of how do we do it. And I would value your input. And I'm sure Dr. Stanky or somebody would be able to, you know, talk with you. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Stanky. I didn't get it, you know, just to make sure that we're on the same page. But I appreciate you coming. I know it's hard to be on the other side of that mic. Trust me, I do.
Thank you, Ms. Fortney. Mr. Townsend?
Yeah, Jasmine, is that your name? Yeah, thank you very, very much for coming. It's very brave. You know, I think you're doing more than almost anyone else is just by coming here. I wanted to ask you. So, say you're sitting in the second period at Bartow High, and you feel like you really need to talk to someone. What would you do? Who do you know to go to or not? What's the experience there?
If you've struggled like I have, you usually have teachers that you feel more comfortable with going to, but they're in classes. They're out doing their actual job, not able to really help you at that moment. So there's like counselors and teachers you can go talk to, but it feels like a disruption into their life because they're in the middle of teaching a class or they're in the middle of talking to someone else.
When you talk about counselors, you talking about the guidance
Yes.
counselors, the folks who help you with your schedule and things like that, right?
Yes, sir. The guidance counselors, and most notable, the Bartow High School gifted counselor is Miss McCall. She is very good about helping with like your mental aspect of school when she can, but that is not like her assigned job, her trained area to do it.
Well, I mean, it's things you may not know is that a lot of our guidance counselors are in fact trained to do that. That's part of their education. I think it is freeing them up to do more of that is something that we've talked a lot about. In addition to having mental health counselors and there's a lot of different potential answers here. I'm glad to hear there are several teachers you feel like you can go to at least. You know, I'm sure they would tell you that they're happy you intrude on them. But you know, it's hearing this experience from your point of view is very, very helpful to me. So thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. And Jasmine, you are amazing.
Thank you.
To be so young and speak so eloquently and from the heart, and to come up here and take your time to come educate us about some of the experiences that you're going through as a young woman. I admire you, and I thank you for coming tonight. And I do hope that maybe you'll have an opportunity. Have you met Miss Steinke? She's
No,
going to
ma'am, I
put
have
her
not.
hand up in the back of the room there. She's real pretty redhead lady, yeah. And maybe she could chat with you a little bit, because this is something that we have put this year, thanks to Ms. Fortney, she's being humble up here, insistence that we need to address this problem in our schools. And we do have it on our legislative priorities, which probably means nothing to you, but this is something we're working towards because we understand and recognize the need for it in our schools. So I applaud you, Jasmine, for coming tonight and speaking your heart. Thank you so much, and I hope you'll get with Ms. Steinke. And I hope you have a blessed Thanksgiving.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward and speak?
You have to go. I know y'all been here all day. Missed the work session. Bishop Willie Mincy. I'm here tonight, and I thank, I want to say congratulations to you, Ms. Cunningham, and
Thank you,
Mr. Wilson, and to all of you board members that I were able to meet with in conversation about how we could make our district greater and communications and all. One thing I want y'all to remember is this, Ms. Bird had to work with 7 of y'all. How would you really like to have that happen to you in your life? 7 people you got to answer to. And all of y'all think different. and all you don't be on the same page all the time. So it is challenging, amen. But I think she's showed, as has been said, that she's willing, and I've tried to encourage her and still encourage her and you all to let's do the thing together. And I just believe in my heart, if you work together, you can accomplish anything. I don't care how big, how small, how minimal it may look, but if you come together, and if you remember the story in the Bible that when the Tower of Babel was being built, you know why they was almost to heaven? Because all of them were speaking the same language. And before the Lord came and confounded languages, if he hadn't confounded language, they would have built a tower because they were in agreement to do the same thing. And we saying we're in agreement for our children to be first, and all of the things that we know, there's so many issues, there's so many things that really are necessary and important. And I think if we would work together and see the vision and work with the vision, I guarantee you, I don't have no doubt, I guarantee you, it'll come to fruition. It can't happen unless you do it the right way. You can start and stop in peace and whatever, but if you keep and stay the course, I guarantee you it'll come together. And you said, Ms. Cunningham, we'll be saying hoorah, hallelujah, and whatever for a school, a district. And I believe that can happen. But it's going to take everybody working together. Thank you.
Thank you, Bishop Mincy. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward?
Good evening. My name is Kelly Spezzano. I'm at 4470 Creekside Drive in Mulberry. However, I'm a parent of a fifth grader at Bartow Elementary Academy. I too am a little nervous. I commend Jasmine for her speaking to you all today. I actually wanted to speak a little bit from the parent standpoint regarding the atmosphere in our schools. As a stay-at-home parent, I have had the extreme blessing and privilege of being highly involved at our school. I've served on the PTA board for 6 years and spend many days at the school. What I've noticed in my 6 years as a parent is that we have had 5 different assistant principals. We've had 39 staff members leave at our school in the last 5 years. We have teachers that have gone from being passionate, energetic teachers to being miserable and lost. On the part of our students, they are absolutely feeling this atmosphere. Students come home wondering why their teachers yelled at them. They're afraid to ask questions because of the teacher being short with them. After 19 years, we lost our A rating with our school. I'd like to know, after almost 20 years of our school being A-rated, why that letter drop happened. The test scores say that it was a lack of reading gains, but I ask you, when so much effort is put into teaching a test to our students, countless hours of after-school tutoring, new push-in programs being implemented, how is it that the scores are dropping? Last year, we were told by administration that we would have fewer assessments this year for our students. At our brand-new PTA board meeting this year, we were told not only was there not less, but there was more. I just wonder if our legislators are considering the stresses these assessments are having, not only on our students, but on our teachers as well. We are losing hardworking, passionate teachers, and it is absolutely affecting our students. And I just applaud you all for recognizing. I know I've seen on Facebook, I've seen in social media that you all are supporting our teachers, and I applaud you for that. But as a concerned parent, I think that we need to do better for our students and for our teachers, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Pisano. Mr. Townsend?
No,
Your
oh,
light's
I'm
on?
sorry. My light's not on.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Ms. Fortney?
Thank you. It takes a lot of guts to come up here as a parent at a local school to share those concerns. And I know Superintendent Byrd's hearing you.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you very much.
I appreciate you all as well.
All righty, and there's staff they're ready to speak with you, Ms. Spezzano, and we thank you and your cute son. Do we get to keep him for a little while longer?
Lord willing.
Yeah.
He enters into kindergarten next year.
Oh, he's adorable, so thank you for speaking up on behalf of your family. Okay, Mr. Townsend.
I would just want to note that, I mean, that stress is part of, not only, I mean, they are considering it, it's their goal. And I think that's I mean, what you're describing is their intent. And I think we need to recognize that as a group. I mean, and that's why you get so much pressure. If you look at the work session today, you see a board pushing back really hard they're pushing very hard for the human aspects of things. And I think it's important to understand what our staff and everyone who works in this model, what their incentives and punishments are from Tallahassee. To help them overcome the incentive to treat a child like Data is a lot of work and pressure, and it's tough. And I feel really, really bad for them, but we're not going to stop doing. I mean, I'm not going to stop doing that, and I'm sure that the rest of the board's not going to either. It's a very difficult balance. So please be understanding of our folks and what they have to live under, while also pressuring us to make sure they're doing the most they can to treat our kids and teachers as humanely as possible. Okay.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say I thank you, because I know you reached out to me, and I get it. And I want to share this with everybody. When you tell your story on how that affects you in a negative way, that is impactful. You have to tell your story, and we have to tell it over and over and over again. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fortney. Is there anyone else that would like to come? Yes, I was going to call on you because you are the most beautiful princess in the room, and we are blessed to have you here, so please come forward. Hi.
My name is Gracie Westerfield, and I realize wearing a crown and a sash is very unusual to a board meeting, but I am Miss Polk County 2020, and I'm simply here today because I wanted to sit in. I was recently crowned October 26th, and a major goal of mine was to be as involved in this community as possible, and I really wanted to start by sitting in on the educational board meetings. Once I realized that you meet monthly, I immediately wanted to come to the November hearing. And I have a few goals that I stand before you that I want to implement in the schools. I want to use my resources to be able to get into all levels of education in the area, elementary, middle, and high school, and also colleges. I attend Florida Southern College, so I am local, studying business and pre-law. But my purpose with this crown and sash is to speak on my platform, and it is domestic violence related. And although that is a very dark topic, and you may be thinking, how can you discuss such topic in the schools appropriately with all ages? It starts with what is healthy and what is not in all of our relationships, whether that be faculty and staff, our students, their household life. And, talking and speaking to them about recognizing those signs and what you can do and who you can speak up to, and maybe bringing in someone that isn't a direct staff member. And this crown and sash does bring attention, so I want to do something with it and attend some of these events that you all had mentioned. I appreciate everything with the arts and your support with them, and I hope that I can come back to the next meeting and talk to you all about my experiences going into the educational system rather than it just being a goal. I want to implement this. So I just wanted to take a moment and speak and acknowledge that this is such an honor to be a part of this local community, and I plan on attending as much community events as possible and to make sure that my involvement is known. So thank you so much for your time.
Start with just say no.
Yes, yes, we thank you, Ms. Westerfield, for taking the time to come out today, and congratulations being crowned Miss Polk County. What a beautiful honor, and I'm kind of touched that of all the places that you could go and the places that you could make a difference, that you chose education, and I applaud you for that, because that is the cornerstone of the future of our country. So thank you for that, and you are welcome to come anytime and speak to us. We'd love to see what you've learned, and we're probably going to learn from that as well. So thanks so much for being here, and good luck as you take your crown around. So, yes. Is there anyone else who would like to come before us this evening? The next order of business is adjournment. Board members, there being no further business, this meeting of the Polk County School Board is now adjourned.